History by the Hour, Episode 15, The Flight That Vanished, March 8th, 2014, just after midnight. Kuala Lumpur International Airport is alive with movement. Aircraft push back from their gates. Ground crews move beneath towering wings. Families embrace one final time before departures. Business travelers glance down at glowing phone screens. Children press their faces against terminal windows, watching airplanes disappear into the darkness. It is an ordinary night. Nothing feels unusual, nothing feels different. And yet, within a matter of hours, one commercial flight will become the greatest mystery in modern aviation, a mystery that remains unsolved. A mystery that has challenged governments, investigators, engineers, and search teams for more than a decade. The aircraft is Malaysia Airlines Flight 370, a Boeing 777, one of the safest and most advanced passenger aircraft ever built. On board are 227 passengers and 12 crew members, 239 souls. Some are returning home, others are beginning vacations, some are traveling for work. For every person on board, this is supposed to be another routine overnight flight from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing, nothing more. 12:30 a.m. Final preparations. Inside the cockpit, Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah completes the final checks. Beside him sits First Officer Farik Abdul Hamid. The aircraft is fueled. The weather along the planned route is favorable. No major storms, no significant turbulence. Everything appears routine. Cabin crew welcome passengers aboard. Overhead bins close. Seatbelts click into place. The quiet sounds of an aircraft preparing for departure fill the cabin. Some passengers are already asleep before the aircraft even begins moving. Others scroll through messages. Parents settle restless children. Outside, airport vehicles pull away from the aircraft. The massive Boeing begins pushing back from the gate. 12:41 a.m. Takeoff. Flight MH370 accelerates down the runway. Its engines roar into the humid Malaysian night. Seconds later, the aircraft lifts into the sky. Landing gear retracts. The city lights of Kuala Lumpur slowly disappear beneath the wings. Everything proceeds exactly as expected. Air traffic controllers monitor the flight. Pilots communicate normally. The aircraft climbs toward its cruising altitude of 35,000 feet. Nothing appears out of the ordinary. 1:01 a.m. Cruising. The Boeing reaches cruising altitude. Passengers begin settling in for the 6-hour journey. Some recline their seats. Cabin lights dim. Meals are quietly cleared away. Most people aboard have no reason to believe anything unusual will happen. Back on the ground, radar screens continue tracking the aircraft. Everything remains normal. 1:07 a.m. The final data transmission. The aircraft automatically sends routine performance information through its onboard systems, fuel levels, engine performance, navigation data. It is the last automated transmission investigators will ever receive from Flight MH370. At the time, no one notices because nothing appears wrong. 1:19 a.m. The final words. As the aircraft approaches the boundary between Malaysian and Vietnamese airspace, air traffic control prepares to hand the flight over. The controller instructs the crew to contact the next sector. The response comes back calmly. Good night, Malaysian 370. Simple, professional, routine, no distress, no urgency, no indication that anything is wrong. They are the last confirmed words ever spoken from Flight MH370. Moments later, silence. 1:21 a.m. disappearing. Without warning, the aircraft's transponder stops transmitting. On air traffic control screens, the identifying symbol disappears. To controllers, it appears as though the aircraft has simply vanished. At first, there is little concern. Equipment failures happen. Transponders occasionally stop working. Controllers assume communication will soon be restored, but it never is. Calls to the aircraft receive no response. Minutes pass, then more minutes. The silence continues. On the ground, uncertainty begins replacing routine. Somewhere above the South China Sea, a Boeing 777 carrying 239 people has disappeared from civilian radar. Yet nobody knows why. 1:22 a.m., the turn. While civilian radar has lost the aircraft, military radar continues tracking an unidentified target instead of continuing northeast toward Beijing. The aircraft begins turning. Not a slight correction, not routine navigation, a deliberate change in direction. The Boeing makes a sweeping turn back across the Malaysian peninsula. To investigators years later, this becomes one of the most puzzling moments of the entire flight. Why turn back? Why stop communicating? And why continue flying? Inside the cabin, passengers likely notice nothing unusual. Commercial aircraft change course for many reasons. Most people remain asleep. The cabin is quiet. The engines continue their steady rhythm through the night. But below, something no longer makes sense. 2:22 a.m., the last radar contact. Military radar follows the aircraft for nearly another hour. It continues northwest. Eventually, the target reaches the edge of radar coverage. Then it disappears. This is the final confirmed radar observation of Flight MH370. There are no distress calls, no emergency beacon, no indication of structural failure, only silence. And then, nothing. The Boeing 777 has vanished. Morning, families begin waiting. At Beijing Capital International Airport, families begin gathering in the arrivals hall. Some hold flowers, others carry welcome signs. Children wait excitedly to see grandparents. Business associates prepare for meetings. The arrival board still lists the flight, but the expected arrival time comes and goes. No passengers emerge. Airport staff begin making phone calls. Ground personnel attempt to contact the airline. Confusion spreads quietly. At first, many assume the aircraft has simply been delayed. Perhaps poor weather, perhaps a technical issue. No one imagines the truth, because no airline simply loses a Boeing 777, or so everyone believes. 7:24 a.m. officially missing. Malaysia Airlines releases its first statement. Communication with Flight MH370 has been lost. The wording is careful, measured. Authorities emphasize that search and rescue efforts have begun, but behind the scenes, the situation is becoming increasingly alarming. Air traffic control centers compare records. Military officials review radar data. Airlines contact neighboring countries. No one knows where the aircraft is. Search begins. Ships head toward the South China Sea. Aircraft begin sweeping across vast stretches of water. Helicopters scan the surface. Rescue crews expect to find floating debris, an oil slick, a distress signal, something, anything. Instead, they find nothing. Hour after hour, search crews report empty ocean. No wreckage, no life rafts, no emergency locator beacon, no confirmed trace of Flight MH370. Investigators soon realize they may be searching the wrong location entirely. The missing puzzle. As experts analyze radar information, a disturbing picture begins emerging. Satellite communications suggest the aircraft continued flying for several more hours after disappearing from civilian radar. Not minutes, hours. The implications are staggering. If true, Flight MH370 did not vanish immediately after losing contact. It continued flying far beyond its planned route. But where? North? South? Across Asia? Into the Indian Ocean? The possibilities stretch across millions of square miles, and with every passing day, the search area grows larger, not smaller. The world watches. News organizations around the globe begin continuous coverage. Every development becomes breaking news. Families gather inside hotels, waiting for updates. Some refuse to leave their phones. Others cling to hope that the aircraft somehow landed safely. Investigators work around the clock. Governments from multiple nations join the search. It quickly becomes one of the largest and most expensive search operations in aviation history. Yet despite thousands of people, dozens of aircraft, countless ships, and advanced technology, the ocean refuses to give up its answers. Months passed, then years. Search vessels mapped the floor of the southern Indian Ocean in extraordinary detail. Autonomous underwater vehicles scanned terrain never before explored by humans. Investigators recover only a small number of confirmed pieces of debris. Washed ashore on distant coastlines thousands of miles away, they prove one thing: Flight MH370 ended in the Indian Ocean. But they do not explain how or why. Despite one of the largest search operations in aviation history, the main wreckage has never been found, and with it, many of the answers remain lost beneath the sea. Closing. More than 239 people boarded Flight MH370 expecting an ordinary overnight journey. Families said goodbye believing they would reunite only hours later. Instead, the aircraft disappeared. No emergency call, no confirmed explanation, only silence. Even today, investigators continue studying the evidence. New theories emerge, old theories are challenged. But one fact has never changed. A Boeing 777 carrying 239 people vanished from the sky, and despite years of searching. The full story of what happened on March 8, 2014, remains one of aviation's greatest mysteries. Some chapters of history end with certainty, others end with questions. Flight MH370 left behind far more questions than answers, and somewhere beneath the vast expanse of the Indian Ocean, the final chapter of this story may still be waiting to be found.